you?
I didn't expect to see children here.
A billionaire returns to the home he abandoned half a century ago, ready to erase every trace of it. But 3 children and a blooming rose garden stop him cold. What happens next will shake you to your core. Before we continue, tell us in the comments what time it is and where you are watching from. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let's get back to our story. The silver Bentley moved like a ghost down the crumbling dirt road, its gleaming body a jarring contrast against the wild sprawl of untamed grass and forgotten land stretching out on both sides. Everything here was broken, overgrown, lost, except the car. The car belonged to another world entirely. Behind the wheel sat Walter Graves, 73 years old, silver-haired, wearing a charcoal suit that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. His jaw was set. His eyes were unreadable. He hadn't spoken a single word since turning off the highway 20 minutes ago. He didn't need to. The silence said everything. It had been 49 years. 49 years since he had last seen this road, last breathed this air, last felt the particular weight that only your childhood home can press onto your chest. He hadn't forgotten it. He had simply refused to remember it. There's a difference, and Walter Graves knew it better than anyone. Then the house appeared through the tree line, and something in his chest cracked open. The old Graves property sat exactly where he left it, sagging porch, paint stripped down to bare gray wood, windows either cracked or missing like broken teeth. The roof had surrendered to time in at least 2 places he could see from the road. Vines had swallowed the east wall entirely. The yard was a battlefield of weeds and wild brush. But there, pressed up against the crumbling foundation, like they refused to give up on the place, roses. Dozens of them. Red, yellow, pale pink, climbing and blooming in fierce, defiant color against the ruins surrounding them. Walter sat in the car for a long moment, both hands locked on the steering wheel, knuckles white. The folder on the passenger seat held the demolition contract. Already signed. The crew was scheduled for Tuesday. The plan was clean, efficient, final. Flatten the structure, clear the land, divide the lots, sell. He'd built an empire, making decisions exactly like this one. Cold, rational, forward-looking, never backward. He stepped out. His dress shoes sank immediately into the soft earth, and he didn't care. He moved toward the house slowly, like a man walking toward something he wasn't sure he could face. Then he heard it. Voices. Children's voices coming from behind the house. Walter stopped. Then, cautiously, he rounded the side of the building. What he saw rooted him to the spot. 3 children were working in the old garden behind the house, the same patch of earth where his mother, Eleanor Graves, had grown vegetables and flowers every single summer of his childhood. The oldest was a boy, maybe 12 or 13, lean and serious-faced, wearing a faded gray t-shirt with soil dark on his hands. Beside him worked a younger boy, 9 or 10, carefully arranging cut stems into a wicker basket with the focused expression of someone who took the task very seriously. And crouched near the flower bed, her small hands cradling a single bloom like it was made of glass, was a little girl no older than 6, wearing a yellow dress that had clearly been washed and rewashed until the color had softened to something almost gold. "Hold the stem lower," the oldest boy was telling the younger 2, his voice patient and measured. "Grandma Lily always said if you cut too high, they go thin the next season. You have to respect the plant if you want it to come back strong." Walter cleared his throat. All 3 children spun around at once. The little girl stumbled backward a step, then pressed herself behind her older brother's arm, peering out at the stranger with huge, cautious eyes. The oldest boy squared his shoulders and looked directly at Walter. "Can I help you?" "I think that's my question," Walter said, keeping his voice even. "This is private property. What are you children doing here?" "We live here," the boy said. Not defensively, not apologetically, just plainly, the way you state something that is simply true. Walter blinked. "You live here." "Not inside. Inside isn't safe. There's rot in the floors upstairs. But we sleep in the back room, on the ground level. We fix the window. And we take care of everything out here." He gestured at the garden. "We've been here about 9 months." Walter studied the three of them. "Where are your parents?" The youngest girl's eyes filled immediately, silently. The middle boy looked down at his basket. The oldest met Walter's gaze without flinching, though something behind his eyes shifted just slightly. "It's just us," he said. "My name is Elijah. This is my brother Coop and my sister Nora. Our mom passed last year. They were going to put us in separate homes, different counties. We're family." He said the last word like it was the only one that mattered. "We don't do separate." "So you ran?" "We found a home," Elijah said. "This place was empty. No one was using it. We're not stealing anything. We grow food, we keep the garden, we keep the place clean. We're not hurting anyone." Walter looked away from them, back toward the roses. "The flowers," he said, his voice coming out quieter than he intended. "You planted those?" Little Nora stepped out slightly from behind her brother's arm, still holding her bloom. "We found the old ones already here," she said, her voice thin and careful. "They were almost dead." Elijah looked up how to save them. "We just helped." She paused. "Mama always said a house needs flowers. She said flowers mean somebody loves the place." Walter turned away. He told himself he was looking at the house. He was not looking at the house. He'd grown up inside those walls, the only child of Eleanor and Thomas Graves. His father had worked the rail yard, long hours, short money, a man whose love came out mostly as silence and expectation. His mother had kept the home alive with her cooking, her singing, and her garden. Flowers every spring without fail. A home should always have something beautiful growing in it, Walter. That's how people know someone lives there who cares. He'd been 18 when it fell apart. His father had found the university acceptance letter, full scholarship, business, and economics, 3 states away. Thomas Graves had not been proud. He had been furious. "You think you're better than this life? You walk out that door for some city school, don't bother walking back." Walter had walked, and he had never come back. Not for Thanksgiving. Not for his father's funeral, 11 years later. Not for his mother's, 7 years after that. He'd sent money for the arrangements, both times by wire transfer. Clean, efficient, painless, he told himself. He had built Graves Capital Group from nothing into something with his name on buildings in 4 countries. He had wealth that would outlast his grandchildren. He had everything. Except he did not have what these 3 children had, who owned nothing, a place they'd chosen, tended, and refused to abandon. "Sir." Elijah's voice broke through the silence. "Are you all right?" Walter turned back around. He looked at the boy for a long moment. "I grew up in this house," he said finally. "I own this property. I came today to sign off on the demolition order. Crew arrives Tuesday." The 3 children went very still. Nora's lower lip trembled. Coop set down his basket slowly, like he needed something to do with his hands. Elijah straightened. "We'll go," he said. "We can be packed by morning. Just, could you give us until morning?" "Why did you let it get like this?" Coop asked suddenly. Elijah shot him a warning look. Coop didn't back down. "If it's yours, why didn't you take care of it? Why did you leave it to fall apart?" "Coop." "It's a fair question," Walter said. He was quiet for a moment, a long moment. "I left because I was certain there was something greater waiting for me somewhere else," he said. "I stayed away because I was too proud to admit I might have been wrong. And I let this place rot because it was easier to let it rot than to come back here and face what I'd left behind." Nora walked forward without a word. She reached into her little basket, pulled out a pink rose, and held up to him. Walter took it with a hand that wasn't entirely steady. The last time he had held one of his mother's roses, he had been 15 years old, helping her cut stems on a warm Saturday morning. She'd pressed one into his hand and said, "Baby, remember, a man can go anywhere in this world and build anything he wants. But don't ever mistake movement for living. Your roots matter." He had smiled, kissed her cheek, and dismissed every word of it. Now he stood holding a rose tended by 3 orphan children who understood home more completely than he ever had. "I came here today to tear this down," Walter said slowly. But I'm not going to do that. He reached into his jacket and pulled out his phone. I'm making 2 calls. First one is to cancel the demolition. Second is to a restoration company I've worked with before. Good people. They'll do this right. Elijah stared at him. We can't pay you back for something like that. I'm not asking you to. This is my property. I let it become this. That's on me. He paused, looking at all 3 of them. But I need people who know this place to help me restore it properly. You've been living here, caring for it. Will you help me do that? You mean we can stay? Elijah's voice had lost, just for a moment, all of its careful guardedness. More than that, Walter said. He exhaled slowly. I am 73 years old. I have more money than I could exhaust in 4 lifetimes. I have properties on 3 continents. He stopped. And I have nobody. Not really. I have employees and I have associates and I have an attorney who sends me Christmas cards. But I have no family. I have no home. Not truly. He looked at Elijah, then Coop, then little Nora, still watching him with her enormous, serious eyes. I'm asking whether you might let me try to become part of yours. Nora crossed the remaining distance between them at a run and wrapped both arms around Walter's neck. He stiffened, the reflex of a man who'd spent 5 decades keeping the world at arm's length, and then, slowly, his arms came up around her small back, and he held on. Over the weeks that followed, Walter moved fast. Lawyers, contractors, and social services, not to separate the children, but to bring them under proper legal protection. Elijah, Coop, and Nora were given a voice in every decision about the house. The wide plank original floors stayed. The stone hearth stayed. The garden was expanded. 6 months after that first afternoon, a judge granted Walter legal guardianship of all 3. But the moment that undid him came earlier than that. 3 days after his return, Elijah approached him quietly and held out a small wooden box, dusty and weathered. We found this upstairs when we first got here, he said. We kept it safe. We figured it belonged to someone. Walter's hands shook as he lifted the lid. Photographs. His parents, young and unguarded in a way he barely recognized. And beneath the photographs, a single envelope, yellowed, fragile, his name written on the front in faded ink he would have known anywhere. His mother's handwriting. The letter was dated 4 months before her death. My dear Walter, he read aloud, his voice barely holding. I don't know if these words will ever reach you, but I need to write them anyway. I want you to know that not one day has passed when I was not proud of you. Your father's anger came from fear, not truth. Fear that he would lose you, which is exactly what happened, and which he never forgave himself for. I planted the roses again this spring. I always do. Someday, I hope someone tends to them. I hope it's you. If life ever finds you a way back here, it's not too late, my love. It's never too late to come home. All my love, always, Mama. Walter couldn't finish it aloud. Nora climbed wordlessly into his lap. Coop leaned against his shoulder. Elijah placed a hand on his arm and left it there. She knew, Walter whispered. She knew I'd find my way back. We didn't know any of that, Elijah said softly. We just thought the garden deserved someone to look after it. Walter pulled all 3 of them close. You gave this place life again, he said. You gave me a reason to come home. If this story moved you, pass it on to someone who needs it today. Like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you stories like this one. And tell us, would you have made the same choice Walter did? See you next time.